Welcome back, everybody. Now, the sad week, very difficult to not remember this a week ago. On Sunday, the 9th of November this year, many awoke to the shocking news of the tragic death of motivational speaker, author and pastor Myles Munroe. He and his wife Ruth died in a plane crash in the Bahamas. Munroe had a strong following in many countries, including South Africa. And a memorial is going to be held in Pretoria today. To tell us a little bit more about this event, we are joined by the CEO of the Myles Munroe International, Charles Masala. Charles, it's good to have you. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Leanne.
How has the international community reacted to his death?
Oh, very, very, very badly. It has been a tough week for us. You know, we've been receiving messages from everywhere, literally, and from different organizations. People take it very badly. And I was in the Bahamas, so I just came back last night.
Yeah.
And I've been receiving messages, from, people here in South Africa. Actually, it sounded like Myles Munroe was a South African, but I then learned that in every country, it's happening the same. People are very touched by his passing.
Yeah. People loved Myles Munroe here in South Africa. I mean, he had a massive following. Can you give us an idea of how big his following actually is here in the country?
It's actually very big. He has a great following because you should remember that Myles Munroe touches three different spheres. It's the political or government, church, and also business. Also, all these communities, know who Myles Munroe is, and he always spoke to all these communities while he was in South Africa.
Yeah. What about his wife?
Well, his wife used to speak to women, so she's a women speaker. She was a women speaker.
Yeah.
So she was also well loved, but obviously Myles Munroe was more well known for his work in different parts of the world.
Yeah, indeed. I know that you've come back from the Bahamas, as you mentioned.
Yes.
Was there a service for him there in the Bahamas that you've just come from now?
Yes, actually we were when the plane crashed. He was coming to the conference. We have our annual conference every year, so he was coming to join us at that conference when the plane crashed. So He was to arrive, and we were surprised why he was not arriving. And then we got a message that there is a plane that crashed, and people were very, very touched. So we had to decide whether to continue with the conference or not continue with the conference. Yeah. So we decided, he would have loved the conference to continue, and we continued with the conference. Okay,
so that continued. It's just finished. Is there any findings as yet? What went wrong with the plane, or was it his plane? Was it a chartered plane? What actually happened?
It was his plane, the one he always uses, and I went to the crash site.
Yeah.
And tried to take different pictures at different angles to see from where it hit the crane and to where it landed, where the impact happened when all of them died. And I could not make up what could have happened because the crane was where it hits was very low. And looking at where I was, I kept looking at the other planes which were landing on the following day.
Yeah.
And I realized that as they approach, it's still far, a bit far from the airport. That the plane, it didn't make sense why the plane was so low. So, but I think maybe bad weather must have been a factor.
Yeah. It was a devastating story, and certainly it took all of us here by absolute shock and devastation. And South Africans are very, very upset about that. In fact, today there's a memorial service that's happening in Pretoria. Give us some details. Is everybody welcome?
Yes, everybody's welcome to the memorial service. We chose the CRC Church in Pretoria East because it can at least take 8,000 people, because we believe that with the following that Dr. Munroe has, people will come from near and far to join this national memorial service. So this is going to be the main one.
Yeah.
We do have other services taking place between today and Wednesday. So So people will be coming in. We have dignitaries coming in. We've got people from almost every sphere of industry and the political government and business.
Yeah, that'll all be attending.
Yeah.
So just give me a time. What time does it begin at?
It will begin at 12 o'clock.
Okay.
And it will go until 3 o'clock.
All right, 12 until 3 in Pretoria. It's a memorial service for Dr. Myles Munroe and his wife. Just very quickly, what's going to happen to the future of the ministry?
Well, the future is bright. Dr. Munroe wrote a book. I think you interviewed him one time
certainly,
on that book.
More than once, which was wonderful.
Yeah, and he wrote a book which is called Passing It On.
Yeah.
So that book is about leadership succession. So he always have been very, mindful of his own mortality, even though we didn't expect it to happen the way it happened. And he has people in every, sphere of his ministry. He has the church. He has Myles Munroe International, which is actually an international, organization to train leaders in, and also he has the International Third World Leaders Association, which is an association of leaders around the world.
Yeah.
So in all these different organizations, he had already appointed people who were already succeeding him.
Indeed.
In the church, you have already appointed this a second generation of leaders.
Okay.
So, the first generation of leaders that he appointed have grown older, and then he appointed a newer generation just this year.
All right. So the ministry is still going on.
It will go on,
very
and
strong.
also the children are committed to make it to make it happen
And to continue his legacy.
And to continue his legacy.
Thank you for talking to us. Thanks for popping by. I know it's an emotional time, and certainly today will be a very emotional occasion in Pretoria. A memorial service for the late Myles Munroe and his wife, who passed away on a plane crash last week. Charlie Masala is the CEO of the Myles Munroe Institute on the African continent. Thanks for being our guest.
Thank you so much.
Let us